All right. Good day, everyone. How you doing? Trust you're doing good. All right. Apologies for last week. We couldn't have our class on Friday um as you know as we planned due to some issues and the likes. But we are here today. So today, last week we dealt with CSS margin. We talked about CSS margins. We talked about borders. Talked about backgrounds and colors, and then there's today we're going to be talking about padding. We'll talk about padding. We'll talk about height. So we'll talk about padding today. We're going to talk about padding, box model, fonts, icons, links, tables. Possibly cover them today, possibly, and if we are not able to cover them today, then we'll make sure we'll cover them tomorrow. But we are starting a class with CSS padding today. All right. So let's go straight to the point. Let me try and share my screen. All right. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about CSS padding. I believe you can see my screen, right? CSS padding. Let me zoom on my screen so you can get to see my screen. Okay. All right. Sorry for that. Um. So yeah. So what is padding? Padding is used to create space around an element's content inside of any defined borders. They are used to create space around an element's content inside of any defined borders. Inside of any defined borders, there is what to create space. Now, CSS padding properties are used to generate space around an element's content inside of a defined borders. An element's content, there are HTML elements, okay? There, then each element have their own content. Then we also talk. There's also what we call borders. We've talked about CSS borders, all right? So now the padding properties are used to now generate. They used to generate space around an HTML's content. That is an HTML's content, an element's content. Sorry, inside of any defined borders. Inside of any defined borders. That is, with CSS, you have full control over the padding. There are properties for setting the padding for each side of the element. We have the padding top, we have the padding right, we have the padding bottom, and we have the padding left. All right. So, so all the padding properties can have the following values. We have the length, and which specifies a padding in px, pt, cm, etc, etc. Then we have the percentage, which specifies a padding in percentage of the width of the containing element. Then we have inherit, which specifies that the padding should be inherited from the parent element. So let's look at this example. For example, now, let me clear this out. All right. Set different padding for all sides of a div element. Okay, we have a div element in this example. This box right here is a div element. Okay, and the text in it, the element content, that's this content inside of this defined border, is it's what we know as I'm coming. Let's see, let me, I want to cut this out. Let's say we've not defined our border. So let's say we've not defined our padding. This is what we're going to have. Okay, this is exactly what we are going to have. So it is the padding that brought in the space between the content, this content here, and this border here. Okay, no, there are, you might be working on a project and you might need to put in some text inside of a particular border. Let's say your UI UX designer gave you the design to work on, and when you saw the text, you when you saw how the design was, you saw that okay, there's a particular place whereby the text will have to hold on. Um, design, you when you want to code it out, you're going to ensure that the content in the and the border. Okay, so it's your own diligence, your own responsibility to now define the. I'm not connecting to any VPN, please. Stop by force. Define the the padding. Okay, and thank God. Thing. Pause for 1 hour. Yeah, thank you. All right. Sorry for the disturbance. So we have the padding shorthand property. Instead of writing padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left, we have the padding shorthand property. So you just write them at once instead of writing them separately as a padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. You define the value at once, assigning them to the shorthand property. So you just you have this like that padding. Then let's say the top padding is 25 px and the, sorry, the padding top was 25 px, the padding right was 50 px, the padding bottom was 75 px. So you just write them like this, straight up. Okay, can you see it here? Just write it straight up like this. You don't need to start writing padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left. You just write your top, right, bottom, left value like that, straight up. It's not that difficult like that. You can also, there's three properties, there's three values, there's two values. Okay, and there's also one value. It depends. It's not that deep. Okay, we have padding and element width. Padding and element width. No, I told us that there's in HTML we talked about height and width. So the CSS width property specifies the width of the element's content area. That is, the content area is a portion inside the padding border margin of an element, that is the box model. Hold on. All right. All right. So the CSS width property specifies the width of the element's content area. That is, the content area is the portion inside of the padding, the border, and margin of an element. That is the box model. So if an element has a specified width, then the width added to that element will be added to the total width of the element. So this is often an undesirable result. So here we have the div element is given the width of 300 px, then the actual width of the div element, then the actual width of the div element will be 350 px. So 300 px plus 25 px of left padding plus 25 px of right padding. Okay, so the calculation here, it's that simple. So we have the width 300 px here. um what's going on? Come in. All right, sorry for that. I noticed that my screen was a bit stagnant, so I had to work on fixing that. Um, so right, so we're talking about CSS padding. All right, so you look at this now. From this example here, we have the width 300 px, then we have padding of 25 px. This padding of 25 px means that since it's just one single padding, it means that the right and the left padding, that is the padding right and the padding left, are both 25 px. That's what it means. So we have padding 25 px, background color light blue. Okay. So what this is going to do right now is, once it gives out its value, it results, that's this result here, the weight will now be 350 px. How? That is 300 plus 25 right plus 25 left. 25 right plus 25 left, that is 50 px. Then add it to the 300 px, that is 350 px. So that's how it does this calculation. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So, to keep the width at 300 px, like you don't want it to um do the calculation and take it to 350 px. So to keep it at 300 px, no matter the amount of padding, you can use the box sizing property. So this causes the element to maintain its actual width. If you increase the padding, the available content space will decrease. So look at this. Look here. Use the box sizing property to keep the width at 300 px. So to keep it at 300 px, okay. So to keep it at 300 px, we have to use box sizing property. Then we'll give you the value border box. So this box sizing border box is trying to tell us that this padding 25 px, let it not be added. That is the padding 25 plus 25 right left, to let not be added to the 300 px right here. So just keep it at 300 px for the border box. Okay. So that's just what it's saying. It's not that deep. All right. So we have all CSS padding property. We have the padding, which is the shorthand property for setting all the padding properties in one direction, in one declaration. Sorry. We have declaration, we have property, we have value. Yeah, good. Then we have padding bottom, which sets the padding of an element. Padding left, which also used to set the left padding of an element. We have padding right, set the right padding of an element. Then we have the padding top, which is used to set the top padding of an element. Then we have the CSS height and width. Okay, the CSS height and width properties are used to set the height and the width of an element. So the CSS max width property is used to set the maximum width of an element. So this element has a height of 50 pixels and a width of 100%. Okay, look at this, 50 pixel and a width of 100%. So a width of 100% is going to cover, like literally going to cover the whole screen. If I reduce this to 50 px, you see that it's reduced. Justify. Okay, that means align item. Okay. So that's it. So we have the width, then we have the height. Okay. The height and width properties are used to set the height and width of an element. Let's go back. So let's say I give this Okay, the height has been defined. So we have height 50 px, right? If I increase it to 70 px, you see that the height was increased. So that is the height and the width. So the height and width properties are used to set the height and width of an element, and the height and width properties do not include it does not include the padding, borders, or margin. It set the height and width of the area inside the padding, border, and margin of the element. Okay, and we have this the CSS height and width values. They have their values, and the height and width properties may have the following values. We have the auto. This is default. That is, the browser calculates the height and width. Then we have the length, which defines the height or width in px, cm, and etc. We have percentage, which defines the height or width in percent of the containing block. We have initial, which set the height or width to its default value. We have inherit. The height or width will be inherited from its parent value. So CSS height and width examples. The element has a height of 200 pixels and a width of 50 um, um, percent. So this is 200 px and 50% width. Okay. So we also have max width. So the max width property is used to set the maximum width of an element, which can be specified in length values like px, cm, or etc., or even in percentage of the containing block, or you can also set it to none. Okay. This example here, we have height 100 px, maximum width 500 px. Okay, that's the maximum width any browser should. That's any browser this website is going to be loading on. The maximum width should be 500 px. Okay, that for. So let's talk about box model, the CSS box model, the CSS box model. All right. So in CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layouts. All right. So it's used when talking about what? When talking about design and layout. So the CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around HTML elements. It consists of margin, borders, padding, and then the actual content. That's Look at this image right here. Look at this. We have the margin. That is the margin of a page. Then we have a border. We have a padding. We have a content. Okay. So the content of the box in that example, that is where the text and images, that's where they appear. Okay. Then the padding clears an area around the content. That is, the padding is transparent. I told you that the padding actually kind of gives space between the content and the border. So the border, a border that goes around the padding and content. Then the margin clears an area outside the border. The margin is also transparent. All right. So the box model allows us to add a border around elements and to define space between elements. So um, a demonstration of the box model. We have this background color light gray. So our background color here is the light gray, right? So we have width 300 px. That's the width. Then border 15 px. Then solid green. Okay, that is these are our light gray, sorry, light gray. These are border. Then these are background color. This is the border. You see how large the border is. If I reduce it to 1 px, you see how small it's going to be like. You see how small it is. So let me increase it back to 15 px. So we have the 15 px, then solid, then green. That's why it is green. So we have padding 50 px and we have margin 20 px. All right. So this is a demonstration of the box model. So width and height of an element. In order to study width and height of an element correctly in our browser, you need to know how the box model works. So to be able to set the width and height of an element correctly for all browsers, then you need to know how the box model works. Okay. When you set the width and height properties of an element with CSS, you just set the width and height of the content area. So to calculate the full size of an element, you must also add padding, borders, and margins. It is very compulsory. So it's compulsory that you must always add what? You must always calculate the full size of the element. So in doing that, you must add the padding, you must add the borders, and you must add the margins. Okay. Width 320px, padding 10px, border 5px solid gray, then margin 0. So they gave the padding, the border, then the margin. Okay, it's not only the width. That is for the box model. So here's the calculation in this example here. 320px, which is the width, plus 20px from the padding, that is 10px left for the left padding, 10px for the right padding, which gives us 20px. Then for the right border, for the border we have 10px. How did we get 10px? Since it's just 5px that's here. 5px for the left, 5px for the right border. Then margin, that is 0px, left and right margin. So if we add all these together, 320 plus 20, that's 340 plus 10, 350 plus 0, that's still 350px. Okay. So definitely in this result here, we have 50px here. All right. Since we have an image here, then this image, it had a div, then the div, we now selected the div, and then we gave it width 320px, then padding 10px, then border we give it 5px, then solid gray. That's why the border is a bit gray here. That's why it's gray. Then margin 0px as 0. So that's just the box model. Okay. Then the CSS outline. An outline is a line drawn outside the element border. Look at this element. It has a black border and a green outline. This one has a black border. Then this green border you're seeing here, it's actually the outline, not the border. The border is literally black. Okay. Then we have different outlines. We have outline style, outline colors, outline width, outline offsets. Then we have the shorthand property outline. So the outline style, we have the dotted, which defines the dotted outline. You can have the, just like we have border, dotted, dash. In outline too, we have the dotted, we have the dash, solid, double, groove, ridge, inset, outset, none, and hidden. All right. So look at this. These are the examples displayed here. All right. So we have the outline width. Okay. The outline width property specifies the width of the outline and can have one of the following values. We have the thin, that's typically 1px, then the medium, which is about 3px, then the thick, which is about 5px, and then we can give it a specific size in px, pt, cm, em, etc. So look at this example here. We have outline style solid, as well as just this. Outline color red, then outline width thin. That's why this one is thin. This one is medium outline. This one is outline with thick. Then this one is specified in a particular the outline width was 4px. Okay. So we have the outline color. I think they've just displayed in the example. So you can also, if you don't want to use just straight color like red, green, blue, blah 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 blah, you can just say that outline. You can use the HEX, RGB, HSL value for your outline color. Just you can use normal color here, or you can use HEX values, or you can use the RGB values, or you can use the HSL values for your outline colors. Then you can put it in shorthand. All right, just writing everything together. That is a can just say outline, then dash red, or outline 5px solid yellow. That's just for the shorthand. Okay. Then we have the outline offset, which has space between an outline and the edge or the border of an element. So let's say you want to give space between this your border here and the outline. You use the outline offset to do that. Then you can give whatever measurement you want: 15px, 10px, 2px, 3px, 1px, 2px, wherever you like. So we have the fonts. We've done text in HTML. So the CSS fonts. Now, choosing the right fonts for your website is very, very important, because you have to consider readability when a visitor visits your website. Readability is very important. So choosing a font is very important. In the right font for your website is very, very important. So font selection is important. Choosing the right font has a huge impact on how the reader experience a website. You see, I just said that. So the right fonts can create a strong identity for your brand. Then using a font that is easy to read is very important. That is, the font adds value to your text, and it's also important to choose the correct color and text size for the font. So we have the generic font families. In CSS, there are 5 generic font families. You have the serif font, which have a smaller stroke at the edge of each letter, and they create a sense of formality and elegance. Each font has its own language. Okay, when I believe some of us know what branding is. In branding, you know that there are certain things that adds language and tone to your brand. All right, so on a website is also part of a brand. If you are creating a portfolio website for yourself, for example, that is part of your brand. You are branding yourself. Or if you're creating a website for a client who owns a business, you are helping the person brand its business via the website. So paying attention to these little things are very important. Like fonts, paying attention to the font is also very important. All right. So the serif font have a small stroke at the edge of each letter. So they create a sense of formality and elegance. Now we have the sans serif fonts, which have a clean line. So no small strokes attached. They create a modern and minimalistic look. We have monospace fonts. Yeah, all the letters have the same fixed width, and they create a mechanical look. We have cursive font, which initiates human handwriting. Then we have fantasy fonts, which are decorative and playful fonts. All right. So look at this font here. Serif. Under serif, we have the font. No, we have fonts family, then we have the font names. So under the serif, which is the font family, we have Times New Roman, Georgia, then we have Garamond. Under sans serif, we have Arial, Bandana, a vertical. I love a vertical and Arial so much. Then I love Times New Roman. All right. Then under the monospace font family, sans serif is also a font family. Yeah. Under the monospace font family, we have the Korea New, we have the Lucidia Console, we have the Monaco. Then under the cursive font family, we have the brush scrapes M7. Then we have Lucidia handwriting. Then the fantasy font family, we have the copper plates, papyrons. So the CSS font family properties, which is used to specify the font of a text. So look at this font family here. Font family, then we give it Times New Roman, Times, and Serif. All the font family you're going to list here, because you have Times New Roman, then Times, Serif. Times New Roman, Times, then Serif font family. All right. Area, a vertical, sans serif, Lucidia Console monospace, and there, there you go. We have web space font. So fallback, we have fallback fonts. You know that Okay, let's start from web space fonts. Web safe fonts. Web safe fonts are fonts that are universally installed across all browser and device. That is, when a website is loaded on all device. What kind of fonts do you expect to see? Now we have fallback fonts. However, there are no 100% completely web safe fonts. So there's always a chance that a font is not found or is not installed properly. Therefore, it is very important to always use the fallback font. So this means that you should have a list of similar backup fonts in the font family properties. That if if the first font does not work, then the browser will try the next one, and so on. Always end the list with a generic font name. Just like we have Tauma, then Vandana, then we have Sanchi. So if the Tauma font is not showing or displaying, then it's going to go for the Vandana Sheriff, and always end it with the family name. All right. So best web safe font for HTML and CSS. So the best web safe font is the Arial font, which is under Sans Serif family. We have the Vandana font, which is also under the Sans Serif family. We have the Tauma font, not Tauma that is in comedy, which is under the Sans Serif um, family. Then we have the Trebuchet MS. We have the Times New Roman, the Georgia, Garamond, Korean New. Then we have the brush script. All right. So font fallbacks. Commonly used font fallbacks, we have Serif, Sans Serif, Monospace, Cursive, Fantasy. All right. Look at this. Times New Roman, Times Serif. This is an heading, this is a paragraph. So let's look at the code here. So for the font family, they give Times New Roman, then Times, then Serif. All right. So this is it here. So these are the fonts is being displayed. If I decide to erase this right here, let me zoom this. Okay, they've added the website font already. So that is the font fallbacks. So the best font fallbacks are what I've listed earlier. So we have the font style. The font style. So the font style, we have the normal, we have the italic, we have the oblique. Normal, the text is shown normally, then the italics, the text are shown in italics. Then we have oblique, the text is leaning, okay, which is similar to italic. So look at this. This is oblique, similar to italic here. So that is the font style. We have the font weight, normal and bold, normal. So this is the normal text. That's the font weight. We have, okay, look at this. We have font weight normal, font weight lighter, which is similar to the normal. Then we have font weight bold, or font weight 900, and then there you go. So we have font variant. Sorry, we have font variants. So the font variant property specifies whether or not a text should be displayed in a small caps font. In a small caps font, all lowercase letter are converted to uppercase letter. However, the converted uppercase letter appear in smaller font size than the original one. Look at this example here. You see that this text right here, you see that the rest is small letter except for the name, which are H and R, which is a capital letter, which is uppercase. When you could look at this place, everything is uppercase, but the rest of the text, the font size are smaller than the normal rest of the text. How did we do that? Font variant, then give you small caps. Okay, it's that easy, very easy. So we have the font size, which sets the size of the text. So the font size, you can set them in pixels, 40 pixels, 30 pixels, 14 pixels, whatever pixels you want to set them. Or you can set them in EM, that's 2.5 EM, which is similar to 40 pixels, 1.875 EM, similar to 30 px, 0.875 EM, similar to 14 px. Yeah, likes like that. Do you get it now? All right. Then you can use a combination of percent and EM. That's 100%, 2P, 25, 2.5 EM, and less. Then we have responsive font size. The text size can be set with a VW unit, which means viewport width, the viewport width, the viewport width. So style font size 10 VW. What does this do? Anytime your website is loaded on any browsers, on any browser or any devices, that is irrespective of the size of those devices, it's going to resize itself. Okay. Now we have the font Google. The font Google, as we call it Google fonts. All right. Okay. So if you don't want to use any of the standard fonts in HTML, you can use Google fonts. So Google fonts are free to use and have more than 100 fonts to choose from. So you just go to your browser, type Google fonts, um, um, Google fonts, and then you wait for it to load. Then the link is always written as font.google.com. Okay. So look at my AI here. It's telling you that Google Fonts is a library of free open source fonts that you can use for web and mobile projects. It offers over 1,000 fonts family, just like we said it here. More than 1,000 fonts to choose from, allowing for customization and enhancing typography in your designs to get. So now let's go to the font, the Google font, then you can see we have different fonts from this, the Roboto. Then you click on the Roboto. You can see the Roboto here. You see the Roboto here. Okay. These are the different fonts that falls under the Roboto. Okay. So now you can now either download it and start fixing it manually in your code, or you get an embedded code. When you click on get embedded code, then you see this embedded code here in the head of your HTML. You copy this link and paste it on the head where you should put in where you should link your CSS to your HTML at the head section. So you copy this code, then you paste it there. Okay. And then you go to your CSS file, then you copy all this. Okay. Then you copy all this CSS file, then you post on your CSS straight up, bam, then you have your font. So that is very easy. It's not something that is hard at all. Do you get it now? So you can always choose from varieties and varieties of fonts like that. So we have the font pairing. The font pairing, okay? So the font pairing, great font pairing is essential to great designs. That is, there are some basic rules to create great font pairings. We have complements. It's always safe to find font pairings that complement one another. So a great font combination should harmonize, without being too similar or too different. So use font superfamilies. A font superfamily is a set of fonts designed to work well together. So using different fonts within the same superfamily is much more safer. Yeah. For example, the Lucidia superfamily contains the following fonts: the Lucidia Sans, Lucidia Serif, Lucidia Typewriter. So just go and read more on fonts. All right. Fonts in web development and in design, you understand better. We have contrast Then contrast is key, is king. Sorry, give it his crown. So two fonts that are too similar will often conflict. If two fonts are very similar, it will conflict. However, done in the right way, contrast done the right way brings out the best in each font. Example, combining serif with sans serif is a well-known combination. You can combine serif with sans serif, like is super. One font should be the boss. So this is how you hierarchy for the font of your for your page on your page. This can be achieved by varying the size, the weight, and the color. So look at this example: font family Vandana, then sans serif. Font size 16 px, then color gray. Okay. Then we have font family Georgia serif. So this like font pairing. Yeah, this font pairing they are doing here now. So no doubt the Georgia is the boss here because under the serif font. So the font size 60 px and the color white. So that is that for the fonts. Then we have the CSS icons. Okay, the CSS icons. Icons can be easily added to your HTML page by using an icon library. So how do you add the icon? The simplest way to add an icon to your HTML elements is with an icon library such as Font Awesome. So you add the name of the specified icon class and inline HTML element like I or span. So all the icons in the icon libraries below are scalable vectors that can be customized with CSS, size, color, sorting. So look at this right here. So you can get icons from fontawesome.com, or you can also get your icons from font.google.com. Just go to icon and then you search for your icon. Let's say you want to add the home icon, okay, the search icon. You can just go there. You can change the color. Let's say the background of the website you're working on is black. You can change the color of the search icon to white, and then you can either download it as PNG, click on download. You can even increase the size or reduce the size, or you can increase the size. Do you get it now? Or you can download it as an SVG. Once you download it as an SVG, there you can also all right. So look at this. So that's just it. That's just so now look at this example here. Then when you download the sorry for that. So then there will be a code. So we have look at this. Get a code to add in your head section of your HTML page. As if you are using fontawesome.com, you sign in, then you get a code to add in your head section of your HTML page. We have this, for example, scripts, fontawesome.com, then your code.js, cross origin anonymous, and blah, then you copy the post it here. Then you start writing your icons, FAS, FA Cloud, FAS, FAS, FA FA car, FAS, FA file, then FA bars, then you keep going like that, like that, like that, like that. Okay. Then we have the bootstrap icons. You can also use the bootstrap icons. Okay. This one you simply go to the bootstrap, see, bootstrap cdn.com. Then you download you copy the link for adding icons, okay, and then you put it in your head section. Then we have Google icons. Yes, we have the Google icons. All right, so um sorry, I was distracted. So right here, there's a Google icon. So you copy the, all right. So it's that simple. So you copy the codes, then you put it in the head section, then you start writing down your codes. I, then class, then material icons. You look for the icon, you can even simply copy the icon straight up from your website. So that's that for icons. So I think we're going to end it here. Then tomorrow we're going to go further tomorrow. All right. So thank you guys for your time. Do have a lovely night rest. All right. All right.